Welcome to the Glitterpill podcast, where we dive deep into the forces shaping our political and social reality. I'm Samantha Kutner, and today we have a conversation that demands critical thinking, sharp analysis, and an unwavering commitment to the truth. In the recent years, the Proud Boys have moved from the fringes of far-right extremism into the center of America's political turbulence. They call themselves a fraternal drinking organization, a brotherhood of men pushing up against what they see as the excesses of liberalism. But their actions, violent clashes in the streets, coordinated efforts to disrupt democracy, and targeted harassment of marginalized communities paint a different picture. Today, I sit down with Enrique Tarrio, the former chairman of the Proud Boys, to examine his vision of events. Claims the group isn't political, but their involvement in key flashpoints, January 6th, school board meetings, and anti-LGBTQ protests tells another story. He insists the Proud Boys don't condone violence, yet we've seen them embrace it time and again. He argues his convention was politically motivated, but the legal evidence suggests otherwise. This conversation isn't just about Tarrio's perspective. It's about the broader consequences of extremism. The Proud Boys have helped mainstream radicalization, escalated political violence, and undermined trust in democratic institutions. They've fueled a climate of intimidation that silences marginalized voices and fractures communities. And despite claims of brotherhood and loyalty, their movement is riddled with internal conflict and disillusionment. So as you listen to this conversation, the first in all these years of interviewing Proud Boys that I have made public, keep one thing in mind. Narratives shape reality. The words we accept, the claims we challenge, and the voices we amplify all determine the future we build. The question is, what future do we want? Let's get into it.
All right. So, you ever done box breathing?
Box breathing, I've never heard of that.
You breathe in for 4 counts, hold it for 4 counts, let it go for 4, and then there's no in or out for 4, and you start it again. We're gonna do that together.
Okay. Let's do this then.
Okay, let's do it. Okay.
Ready?
Breathe in. Hold it for 4. Breathe out. All right. Hold it. Now breathe in. Hold it. Breathe out. All right, just a couple more. Breathe in. Hold it. Breathe out. All right.
All right, is this supposed to help me with, I don't know?
No. This is how we're going to start.
Actually, it is genius.
Okay. All right. So, now, how much do you trust me?
I trust her. I don't know.
Like this? Okay. Enough to close your eyes.
Oh, God. Here we go. Okay.
Yeah? You said you were open to this as an experiment, by the way. I got your consent. Yeah? Okay. I told you beforehand. Okay. So, you're going to close your eyes. All right. And you're going to think about the part of you that wants to bullshit me. Find out where that part of you lives in your body. The part of you that wants to bullshit Samantha.
I'm looking. Not under the couch.
Feel something. There's got to be a little part. If you bullshit everybody,
I'm not going to bullshit you at all.
Huh?
I'm not going to bullshit you at all. Because
entertain the possibility there's
I don't think I ever bullshitted you, as a matter of fact.
Entertain the possibility there's a fraction of a percentage of you that wants to bullshit me.
Absolutely not. Because then it wouldn't this conversation between us wouldn't be genuine, and it's easy to tell when somebody's bullshitting.
Of course.
I'm from Miami.
However, if you trust me, you'll know there's a second component. There's a second component to this.
Okay.
So one part is the part of you that wants to bullshit me.
Okay.
Yeah? Assume that that is there. The second is the part of you that wants to tell me the truth.
Okay.
Okay. So where does that part live in your body?
That wants to tell you the truth?
Yeah.
It comes natural. It comes 100% natural.
And why is that?
Because I don't have to bullshit to, like, I actually believe in what, like, and again, I'm not accusing you of anything, but I actually believe in, like, the things that I say. I'm not, so.
No, I believe you believe that.
Okay.
But damn it, you fucked up my exercise. It was going to be a really nice little synthesis of those two parts. And then we're going to have this great conversation. But
this is an honest conversation, so the exercise.
Right. And why do you talk to me?
It mellowed me in. How's that? What? I'm sorry?
Why do you talk to me over, I don't know, someone you consider to be left of center?
Just a question there. So, like, are you saying that you're farther left than center left?
No.
Okay.
I think that everything is so hyper polarized. Like, everyone who thinks that they're moderate is actually more extreme than they realize.
Okay. Fair. But I talk to you more because I feel like, you know, you do your research, and I feel like you misunderstand us and you mischaracterize us, and I think it comes from an emotional place. I again, that's my opinion. I don't think it comes from.
It's because you have an honest personality. You can tell.
And I think you are coming from an honest place, but I do think it's based on emotion, I think.
You think emotions are bad?
No, I don't think emotions are bad, but I think, like, when you do research, it has to be objective, and emotions need to be put to the side.
Okay, let's start with my first question.
Fine.
Has the recent presidential pardon affected your personal journey and the Proud Boys organization as a whole?
Okay, so on a personal level, of course, it altered my journey because I could have been rotting in fucking prison for 22 years. I think it humbled me a little bit, because I was angry, and it kind of made me breathe, like you attempted to do right now unsuccessfully. Now, as far as the Proud Boys go, I don't think it's changed anything in the group. I think the group actually has changed. You know what? You're right. I think the group has changed. I think the group has gone back to its roots of being the drinking brotherhood, and most of my guys are very family based, you know? So I think that it's put things into perspective because they saw what we went through, and it's more festive. How's that? I think Antifa isn't a big problem right now, and BLM isn't a big problem right now. Maybe the next best thing.
What about Brian James?
What?
What about Brian James?
Is it pronounced Brian James?
Brian. I don't know. It's spelled weird.
Well, oh yeah, I guess I can't cuss too much, but
wait, do you have handlers talking to you right now? What is going on?
No, it's other guys here that were here, and they came. One of my guys that was down here at work, so I couldn't be rude. But regardless of the fact, I think the club has changed because of what we went through, and I think it's gotten back to its roots, you know, and I'm happy for that.
Do you regret inviting Brian James to be a part of the Proud Boys?
So Brian James, obviously our chapters are autonomous, and he joined the Indiana chapter, and he was a little F word and didn't get along with his own brothers. and he got kicked out. And obviously we've been around for a long time, and we have the right to exist, and we have the right to choose who is a member of our group or not. And Brian James is not. So when you kick out enough members, they start this little Proud Boy hater clique, and then they go ahead and they march down the streets in our colors. They're not a gang, so we're not going to beat their ass for wearing it, but he is fucking cringe.
Is that the standard?
That is what you've heard of publicly as a standard, yes.
And how does that differ from party boys?
It differs wildly because they want to do shit that we did in 2017, which doesn't work anymore. And two, it differs greatly because they are not Proud Boys, right? Like, and I tell you, we have the right to be able to say who's a member and who's not. And he is a person that he's socially inept. He has these cringy views, and he changes his views all the time, as we saw. He was part of the Vinlanders. I think it's called the Vinlanders Club or whatever. And like anybody who can switch from one group to another, his ideologies like that, because I think they kicked him out too. So Indiana, I guess, made a mistake. They knew that mistake. They corrected that mistake by kicking him out. He wants to continue to say that he's part of the membership, but I'm going to be like absolutely clear. If your name is not on that Proud Boys USA site, if your chapter name isn't on there, you're not a member of our group. So whatever Brian James does from this point forward, really doesn't represent shit of what we say.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are your plans for the organization's future identity following the trademark transfer to the historically Black church?
So it's kind of a two-part question. I can't tell anybody what to do. So each chapter is autonomous. They do whatever the fuck they want, you know. And then as far as this trademark thing, just to give you some insight on trademark thing, J.L. Van Dyke took it upon himself to go ahead and make a corporation and get the trademarks. For that reason, other reasons, he was kicked out. And we just said, let the trademark expire, let whoever take the trademark take it. At this point, I don't even know who owns it, but honestly, like I wipe my ass with the judge's orders. I wipe my ass with what that fake church says. And the banner that I burned isn't the banner from that church, and I found that out later. So I was sued for $0.8 million for a $40 banner that I didn't even burn. And I think a lot of people get that mistaken.
All right. How has your perspective on political activism evolved since the January 6th events and your subsequent legal proceedings?
I think political activism starts at a local level, and I think a lot of the guys also have shifted to that. Maybe you agree with me here. Like, we're not a political group, you know. It's more of a cultural thing. You know,
is disrupting a democratic process cultural? Is disrupting a democratic process cultural?
That
seems very political.
I can't really answer that because if I guess the question before that is, did you disrupt a democratic process? And I'm going to tell you no. And did I plan to disrupt a democratic process? No. Although what happens on January 6th is ceremonial, but it's not an official proceeding. It doesn't have to happen. The states are the ones that certify the election. It's not U.S. Congress. But regardless of the fact whether it's ceremonial or not, I didn't plan with the guys to go into the Capitol to stop the certification of the election or any of that shit.
Were you charged with seditious conspiracy?
I definitely was.
What does that involve?
So the word sedition means attempting to overthrow the government, right?
Were you
in a conspiracy? So, but the verbiage of the actual law is stopping the execution of any law in the United States by use of force through a conspiracy.
Okay. How do you address concerns that pardons related to January 6th could encourage further political unrest?
That doesn't move the needle for me. But what we saw with 1,600 cases is politically motivated by not a jury of our peers. So whether it encourages it or not, it was the right thing to do. Like you can't, it's not about preventing violence. And I don't know how to answer that question because I can't see into the future or I can't even assume. But like if we continue to allow this miscarriage of justice, then like a form of violence is putting somebody in a cage. Right. And then beyond that, putting somebody in a cage for their expressed views.
Well,
I'm not,
okay.
and I said this before, I don't like those people that put their hands on cops. I don't condone it. Right. But that's not the reason why they got pardoned. They got pardoned because the process was corrupt. Do you think I'm bullshitting you up until this point?
I think you believe it.
Okay.
I think you believe your perception of things, and you're entitled to that.
And wait, can I ask another question?
I mean, I'm gonna go off script in a little bit, but yeah, you can ask a question.
That I'm just based on like, do you believe that we like planned in any way to stop the certification of the planned? I'm not saying
it doesn't matter what I believe. There's a volume of evidence to support that there was pre-planning and coordination and the Mossad signal chat and all of this stuff. I mean,
based on that evidence, do you believe it?
Yeah.
Okay. That's just what I wanted to know.
Do you think that I should believe in what is the alternative to evidence?
Well, I can't prove a negative, right? If somebody accuses me of something, right? If I say no, if I simply just answer that question, I'm already on the defense of a question that's obviously not true because we didn't plan to do that. I'll tell you this. If I did plan to do it, it would have been a lot more successful. But I didn't plan to do it.
Okay.
And I think it's stupid to think that you could overthrow the government by taking the building. It doesn't make sense.
Pretty stupid, yes. How do you reconcile the Proud Boys' law and order principles with the seditious conspiracy convictions?
I'll go back to it. So we wouldn't even be having this conversation if the most simplest, I think my grand jury indictment and my brother's grand jury indictment was already on false pretenses. But let that system play out. If they would have allowed us to change venue and we would have gotten a more fair jury, I think we would have talked a long time ago about how I got exonerated and my brothers got exonerated at trial. Here, I'll give you the example, right? Like there's a lot of guys that dislike you, and maybe I haven't asked these guys that are here in front of me, but a lot of Proud Boys dislike you, right? So
do you think I want to be asking these questions? Do you think the reason I started studying the Proud Boys was to ask questions like this? I had no fucking idea what I was getting into.
No, I'm not blaming you for it. So, but there are Proud Boys that really dislike you, right? So imagine if your entire jury, 14, 12 of 2 alternates, consisted of Proud Boys, right? It's unfair to you in a court of law. And that's exactly what happened to me. We asked, you know that we oppose groups like BLM, again, whether you like it or not. There was five sympathizers of BLM and 2 actual charter members of the DC BLM in our jury. And then we also opposed Drag Queen Story Hour. Well, the foreman of our jury, he didn't disclose that. He organizes these Drag Queen Story Hour events. And this isn't a conspiracy theory. This is Like I mean, you have to go.
Well, the difference between a conspiracy and a conspiracy theory is a conspiracy is actual hidden but real plot, and a conspiracy theory is what a lot of your members circulate in your Telegram channels.
Well, in our Telegram, I don't know how closely you follow the trial. In our Telegram channels, you know, we do say fucking a lot of shit to each other, right? But one thing that wasn't clear, and the prosecutors actually pitched this to the jury, is there didn't need to be a plan, because we knew each other so well that with a wink and a nod, I already knew, they already knew what I meant. And I guess if the accusation stands that we plan to storm the Capitol, right? I think there has to be more than just like, it's an elaborate plan, something worthy of like Ocean's 11. So like, why would there be no evidence of like a planning to do that?
I mean, you're saying that there's no evidence.
Yeah.
But like you saying a thing, just like you can't negate a negative, like you saying that there isn't an existence of evidence doesn't make that true.
I'm sorry, repeat that.
You saying that evidence doesn't exist doesn't suddenly make it true that there's no evidence that exists.
Well, there's no evidence that a seditious conspiracy or an attempt to obstruct an official proceeding happened, right? And look, I'm going to tell you, obviously I wasn't there, so I'm a completely different story. And Ethan, Dominic Pizzola, Zachary Real, and Biggs would agree with me that they shouldn't have been on Capitol grounds. And I tell you, and they tell you too, that they should have been charged with trespassing. They hoped that that didn't happen, but that should at least get charged with trespassing. Instead, they get charged with a law that's one step under treason, right? And then they were sentenced to decades in prison.
Okay. Talking about the people who were there with the understanding that, are you drinking?
I'm taking swigs because the guy's here, but not.
That's not fair. I have no alcohol to drink with you. Okay. There was an overrepresentation of Proud Boys with a military background. Hi, who are you?
Oh, you can see me? Oh, sorry.
Wait, go.
I just wanted to see what she looked like. Sorry.
You've seen her before on Twitter. I'm not going to say his name, but I think you know who that is. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Is it Nick Pickles?
What did you say?
Is that Nick Pickles? Nick 6 million weren't enough pickles? I don't know.
Oh, let me clear the air.
I honestly don't stalk you guys. Like
let me
I don't know.
Let me clear the air about that. So he was accused of printing that shirt, and he got actually really mad because he never printed the shirt, right? So since he was a t-shirt merch, and obviously you could go on the 1776 shop and see that that shirt wasn't there, then the next merch salesman in the Proud Boys is Bobby. And then that rumor started circulating, and he actually got he lives in West Palm Beach.
Actually did not print it. I would admit to,
yeah, if he
did something, I'd admit to it.
Yeah.
I didn't do it.
Yeah. So, but your question was an overrepresentation of.
So there was an overrepresentation of Proud Boys with a military background. And why do you think they particularly heard the call that day? Regardless of whether you and I differ on what actually happened today, why do you think so many Proud Boys with a military background stormed the Capitol?
Okay, so one, that goes beyond the Capitol. We attract more military and members of law enforcement, because both of those, especially Marines, we get a lot of Marines because it's like a brotherhood, right? So when they leave that, they find the brotherhood within the Proud Boys. And I think by ratio, there's a larger number of Oath Keepers that are members of the military and ex-law enforcement, current law enforcement, or whatnot. But the heard the call thing, I mean, I don't know. There was a lot of people that had no military background. I mean, I didn't have any military background. I wasn't at the Capitol. I think
so. You say that your members are loyal.
What do you mean loyal?
Do you consider members of the Proud Boys loyal?
So I'm going to give you, actually, I've never talked about this, but I'm going to give you an example in federal cases. Obviously, it's not my first Fed rodeo. So on a regular federal case, almost every one of your co-defendants are going to flip on you, right?
Yes.
So if you had 5, like in my case, if you had 5 co-defendants, I'd say at the bare minimum in a regular case, at least 3 of them are going to flip on you and make a deal, right? And point the finger at you. I think it's a testament to our brotherhood and our loyalty to each other that in a case of 6, 5 of us remained, and the closest 4 remained loyal. The 5th one was Dominic, which we didn't even know him. They just
I thought it was you.
No. They tried to get me to throw the president under the bus.
Sorry, I have a few more questions, and I'll ask some of the stuff that I wanted to ask. Like, I don't think you know about the reason why I even started studying the Proud Boys. I don't know. What do you think my reasoning is?
We've talked about this before, and I think it was the Gavin McGinnis.
No, Gavin McGinnis reacted to me. That was after.
Okay. Then I don't remember. I think we talked about this, but I don't remember.
Okay. Well, when I started looking into the Proud Boys, I'm like, okay, I don't throw out the term Nazi lightly. What's the reality of being a member of this group? Is it brotherhood, camaraderie? Is it kind of functioning as a radicalization vector where people incubate, get exposed to more radical content, and then go on to join more clandestine terror organizations or neo-Nazi groups? Like, what's the reality of being a member? Does that reality differ by chapter? And honestly, would you say that people who join your movement are happy individuals?
Yeah. Give me 1 second. Hold on.
Are you tired of the same old lame shirts in your closet with Looney Tunes characters crossing their arms and trying to look like they have cool attitude? Whether you're a garbage narcissist obsessed with death cults or a preachy female, it doesn't matter. If you're an extremism researcher or the person who cooks burger at McDonald's that finally raises Trump's cholesterol to heart attack levels, you're gonna look good and feel good. Or you can just tell people to go outside and touch grass.
That's Glitterpill shirts at www.theglitterpillshop.bigcartel.com. Order now. Operators are standing back and standing by.
Sorry about that. I had somebody come into the office, so I had to say hi to.
How many handlers do you have in there?
As a joke, probably half of the FBI is here. No, I'm kidding.
You shouldn't joke because people think you're a Fed.
Yeah. So I guess there's like multiple parts to that question. Why do people join? I think it is the sense of brotherhood and camaraderie. And then I'm gonna say this in the early stages of the Proud Boys, like 2017. The media would call us white supremacists, Nazi, all that shit. And maybe some people tried to find a home in it. But when you here's my problem with some people, and it's not the Nazi thing or anything. It's when you obsess over one topic. Like when you have an obsession over one topic and that's all you do. I don't think that vibes well when you're in a group, right? Whether it's
a Canadian Proud Boy. I'll stop you right there because I'll cooperatively overlap. A Canadian Proud Boy said he didn't really appreciate some of the younger ones who really had no game and wanted to educate him about 9/11. He found that their obsession was fairly annoying and took away from the sense of camaraderie and brotherhood.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, like we have a big organization, and it's not like if you have a pro-life group, you already know what lane you're in. You know what questions to ask. You know what you're about. But we're kind of like I'll use a shotgun. It's a very broad perspective because At the end of the day, I think it is about making better men, and I think that we have. Iron sharpens iron, and I think that's I mean, maybe that's part of why they join. I think a lot of people joined too, and I think it was here. Look, I'll make a concession. I think after the stand back, stand by thing, a lot of members joined because they saw the videos and they heard Trump say it, or they saw like the rally thing, and they thought that that's what we're all about, right? And we continued to recruit through that time. And I was suggesting to the guys, because I wasn't the president of my own chapter, I was suggesting to the guys that we should slow down recruiting. We got a mixed bag of nuts at that point.
Yeah, nuts is right.
Yeah. So example, the reason why we made the Ministry of Self-Defense. Again, I've said this before. I don't like how some of the individual Proud Boys acted on December 12th. You know, I saw a very aggressive stance on the guys that I didn't see before. And most of that aggressive stance that I saw with the guys are the new guys, right? Most of those guys that I'm talking about got kicked out and they joined Brian James's standard, right? I could ask them, you remember Jovi Val?
I remember Jovi Val.
Hey,
he was at Charlottesville, and then Gavin McInnes backtracked. He backtracked a few times. He had like an alternate like account of, you know, everybody should be welcome, blah blah blah, and then like very quickly pivoted to the Proud Boys who were there weren't really Proud Boys, and the group was just a misunderstood fraternal drinking organization. And I know that by heart because that's the moment I was like, what? And decided to start talking to members.
If you get a chance and they allow it, I would like to see if you could interview one of these standard guys, right? Maybe I could.
You know I'm Jewish, right? Also, you know when the fascist circle closes, you and I won't be in it, right?
Well, as a joke, I'm gonna go take over Cuba and become the dictator of Cuba. You're welcome to come. I don't believe that, but I think that example, I would like for you to talk to one of these guys, and like it's in the history of the Proud Boys. Like, who's Jovi Val? They won't know because they joined the Proud Boys after January 6th. The majority of those people in this fake wannabe Proud Boy thing have joined after January 6th. And I'm going to tell you, if after January 6th you saw all the arrests and you saw the investigations and you still want to join us, I don't want you. Because you got to be a special kind of retard to want to join the Proud Boys after January 6th.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
So what type of people are going to be attracted now that a lot of your members have been parted?
I think most chapters right now aren't recruiting, right? And if they are recruiting, they're probably recruiting like their high school friends, their fathers, their brothers, and stuff like that. I'm not recruiting in my chapter. Right? We're not going to be recruiting for a long time.
Don't you get tired of this though? Like why would you couldn't you have the same social ties and bonds and going out with your friends without smacking a shirt that's now like violating trademarks on? Like,
well, we technically don't right now. We technically never violated the trademark even before. Well, we're violating other trademarks. So if you see this laurel, this is the official Fred Perry laurel. And if Fred Perry couldn't stop us from selling these hats or giving these hats away, this fake church won't stop us from being us, right? Also, I know I've said things in the media about to stop calling me the ex-leader of the Proud Boys. I am no longer the chairman of the Proud Boys. Within the organization, we won't talk about how we're structured, but I think the Proud Boys are a better place. I can't be happier with how they've maintained the organization throughout the time that the 4 years between Ethan, Joe, and myself being gone. And Zach.
Has it been 4 years?
Well, I was locked away for 3 years. They were locked away for 4.
Oh my God. Oh, right. Because the last time we talked was in 2022, like literally right before you went to prison. Like, I think you were in the car on the way and then stopped.
I was at a gas station. I remember.
Talk to me.
So like, and I don't know if you've continued to research these past 4 years, but you did the map, correct? You had like the Proud Boy heat map.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I like relating to members, but I really don't like being bullshit. So like when someone's trying to tell me that like events didn't happen and arrests didn't occur and violence wasn't violence, like that was the whole reason.
You like talking to me because I don't bullshit you.
That was the whole reason
behind. The Proud Boy that doesn't bullshit you.
Huh. I think most of them bullshit themselves.
I think as far as like street action, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe you could correct me here. I think as far as street action for the past 4 years, the only time that you see non-standard Proud Boys in the streets have been for like drag queen story hour and like school board meetings. I think that's as far as our political activism has gone. Like, you haven't seen like the rallies in Portland. You haven't seen like those rallies. So again, I think that they read the room correctly and the focus is different. The organization is the same, the focus is different. And I think that we've gotten back to that important section. Obviously, I'm a very political person. But
isn't the group cultural? Like you said the group is more cultural than political, but you're a very political person.
I am. And I think Gavin wasn't a very political person, right? And when Gavin stepped down, right, for that situation with the John and Max thing, plus he didn't want to get deported. I think the Proud Boys were in a different place. I think we've gotten what we've needed throughout time. And when I put my name in the ring, right, I'm a very political person, and I think the Proud Boys. I don't want to say this in like a bad way to Gavin, and I think I've told Gavin this before. He's a very nice guy, but like when you're describing a leader, a maxim of a leader, like nice isn't in that list of qualities of what the Proud Boys needed at the time. And
he treats his production team like shit.
I'm saying it because I'm remembering, and any Proud Boy, they needed a fire-breathing dragon, right? And I was very political, and I do, and I've made mistakes. I've made many mistakes, right?
What are your top 3 mistakes?
I think that I should have taken the guy's advice. I tried to mitigate the problems by getting a smaller, more focused group for January 6th, because I did see what was wrong on December 12th.
You said you wanted to get a smaller group together for January 6th?
Ministry of Self-Defense. That's what you read about, right? So I saw all that aggro new Proud Boys. So I wanted to control who was at rallies. And usually the people at rallies are the same people, the same core people. And we've never had a problem with those rallies. Obviously, you've seen my Portland rallies where I do the switcheroo. There's no violence. When I put a rally together in Portland, there was no violence. And December 12th, like I've said before, many times, I don't like what happened there. So I created this group with those people that have never given us any problems, right? And some members of the Proud Boys told me that I shouldn't have even gone. And I regret not listening to them. I'm human. I make mistakes. I tried to mitigate the situation. If you saw the recorded Zoom call kind of that we had, I told the guys, I go, look, let's just go over there, get our fucking pictures taken. We're not going to do any fucking security. We're not going to give anybody no private security. Let's get our pictures taken. Let's, I'll be 100% transparent here. Let's go get our pictures taken. Let's go do some drugs, and let's go fuck, right? That was, I guess, what
other?
No.
No.
You can't.
You have to wonder with a group that is concerned with being this hyper masculine ideal, if you aren't attracting a large group of people who are horrifically insecure about their masculinity to begin with.
Yeah. So I'll give you the example. We have 5 co-defendants. One we didn't know, which was Dominic Pizzola. He joined the Proud Boys in December, right? When he went to the December rally, he was still a first degree, right? I love Dominic. He's great, but we didn't know him. So besides Dominic in our case, us 4 didn't get charged with any crimes of violence, right? The force factor that they used in attempting to prove the seditious conspiracy, obviously successfully in a DC jury, was that Ethan moved a fence. That was the force used to stop the execution of the 12th Amendment. That was seditious conspiracy. If seditious conspiracy can also be given to somebody if an FBI agent is leaving FBI headquarters and you stop his car with your hands and you put your hands on his car and you know that that FBI agent is going to stop a bad guy, congratulations, you just committed seditious conspiracy. And actually, as a matter of fact, today we got exonerated for the events of January 6th beyond the pardon. The government has agreed to drop our case in appeal, and if I'm not mistaken, the judge has agreed. So technically, we beat them on appeal.
Mm-hmm. So you're not a victim.
I think I was used. I'm not going to use the word victim, but I think I was used as like, they wanted to arrest me to send a message, and they did. And obviously that message didn't resonate with the rest of the country.
I kind of envy you.
Why is that?
When you were in prison, you probably had like
Envy me in prison?
Zero distractions and like all the time in the world to read. That
I was in the shoe most of the time, so sometimes I couldn't read, but yes, I did read a lot.
What did you read?
The whole shelf. Huh?
What did you read?
So the way that I read 2 books at a time. So I don't get that readers, so I won't get that block. So I'll read a fiction and a nonfiction at the same time. I read a lot of biographies, a lot of like, I guess, history books between the Roman Empire and all the Napoleon, right? And some biographies of more modern figures like Henry Kissinger, Steve Jobs. The Elon Musk book was actually pretty good. I got through halfway of on a biography of Albert Einstein. I read a biography on Napoleon, 3 tomes on that. And then on the fiction side, you know, your fucking typical run of the mill George R. R. Martin, Sanderson, things like that, like actual fiction, not so.
I remember you telling me that you met somebody one of the times you were in prison who was talking about microeconomies.
Yes, that was in my first bid, and he taught me a very good lesson in economy and how to manipulate economies and how countries manipulate their economies. And he did it at a micro scale with contraband cigarettes.
Is that how
we dominated and we changed the prices of cigarettes within the prison, where we made it to where nobody can compete, and we had a monopoly on cigarettes within the prison. That was on my first bid.
Why do you think other groups like American Vanguard and just going back through the organizations, why do you think so many of them fell apart and yours more or less stayed and clunkered on?
I think you ask a really good question, and I think it's the bonds that create, I think, is the number one thing. Going out with the guys and just drinking beer, not going to one event and being serious, I think formulates those bonds. And I think also, I hate to use the word, but we've kind of built like a little hydra, right? Across the country, where we saw where they did take a lot of the leadership and also influential members in the group, and the group still thrived, right? The autonomy also is a big thing, but I think it's number one. I think it's the ideals and the brotherhood that unite us, and those meetings are super important, right? And then I'm Cuban, so I pronounce it different, so maybe you guys can correct it here. Sharia. Did I pronounce it right? Sharia. Like our Sharia court system where we air our grievances to each other, I think is very important because it does fix those problems. And if they can't fix it like that, I always got 2 pairs of gloves. They're actually, I'm not bullshitting. I'll show you. I got 2 pairs of gloves.
Okay, wait. So let me make sure I understand this other term. Give me 1 second. So what's takfir in your organization in regard to talking about Jews and Israel?
I think, listen, if you're in the Proud Boys and you have 1 leg and 1 eye, we're going to make fun of you. If I'll give the prime example is Eddie Block, right? He's on a scooter. We make fun of him. He makes fun of us. I'm Cuban, you know, the guys call me, I'm not going to say the word, raft N word, right?
Oh, go ahead.
I call them honkies. And that's how we vibe with each other.
It's like a term of affection. Okay.
Yeah. So like, if you're Jewish, you're going to get made fun of, right? And you might make it to one of those hook nose memes where we put your face in that thing. And it's not out of hate, right? And maybe I hope you understand this. It's out of love because we riff each other so much that we make each other strong. And I'm going to tell you, this is very important for me. Like the guys, we riffed so much that it prepared me for these 3 years of prison, right? Because there's nothing that an inmate can say to me that would make me that would bother me, right?
Mm-hmm.
What? Sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. And then, like, here's another thing in this whole.
Your handlers want to ask a question?
No. He was showing me a text message that came in for some shit that I got to do at 6. Like,
wait.
Has the right to.
Wait. Don't run out the clock if we only have 10 minutes.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
You being an Afro-Cuban man, do you think that your conception of communism is different from, I guess, the average white male Proud Boy's perception of like a purple-haired, pierced, like nose-pierced person talking about whatever language you think is flowery?
I think me personally I have a different understanding of communism, right, than a lot of people, period, because, you know, I was born into anti-communism, right? Mm-hmm. My family got murdered by the orders of Che Guevara, right? So does it make it different? But me and my grandfather, my dad, they understand that communism in Cuba came at the snap of a finger because of the revolution, right? And Castro didn't come in saying that he was a communist. He actually wasn't a communist when he started the revolution. The people that put that in his head was his brother Raul and Che Guevara that told him he actually at one point wanted to work with the United States, but then they decided to go with the Soviets because obviously there was that socialism aspect. But in socialism comes at a drip, right? And we see it a lot in this country. We kind of touched on it. I didn't want to touch on it too much, so we had content here. You know, you focus on fascism. I focus on communism. Right?
I focus on influence. It doesn't have to be a certain way. It doesn't have to be communism. It doesn't have to be fascism. I also think that the strategy for Russian influence operations is to literally pit communists and fascists against each other, and you know, racists and BLM against each other, like it's crashing train sets into each other to see what happens, because that destabilizes the country.
I could agree in a way, but I think like 100 years from now, if the United States were to fall, right, I think there'd be a new word for it. So like, you're familiar with fascism because you think about the 30s and the 40s. I think about communism because I think of Karl Marx, Engels. I think about Soviet Union, I think about China, I think about Cuba, right? So that's what we connect it to. But I think maybe 100 years from now, if the country goes in the wrong direction, there will be a new word, there will be a new ism, right? If we continue to go down this path of not caring about free speech, jailing people for their political views, and incarcerating our political opponents.
Do you know my family also escaped persecution as well? My family escaped from Minsk during the pogroms.
Okay.
And so it's interesting doing this research, not knowing what I was getting myself into, and having people assume a lot about my identity.
Yes.
Because I'm Jewish American. So Proud Boys probably think that I am like a Marxist or whatever, because I think that dehumanizing people is not okay. And the moment that you do that, you kind of lose your way. And I feel like an empathetic approach is needed. However, I think that a lot of Marxists or anti-fascists who are more on the extreme sides of things think that because I am Jewish, I could never be fully committed to the cause. But I see the history of Soviet anti-Semitism, and it doesn't choose a side. And I wish more people understood that if you are like happy and balanced and doing what you need to do, I will never like convince a Proud Boy to leave an organization. I've had members come to me and say, I'm leaving the group, I blame you. I don't try to get people to leave. I'm a positive force when they decide to leave, but I don't tell them the alternative is to start doing the song and dance and spreading the language of whatever they think it is as proof that they are like converted or no longer radical. I think when you leave, you make choices that are what's best for you. And sometimes, most of the times, it's not affiliated with any political ideology. It's just doing.
Well, I think the I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Very fine. I believe in the ability for humans to flourish. I think that you could have a healthy, balanced life. You can learn to better relate to people. You can adopt healthier communication styles. You can develop awareness and true masculinity, I think. True masculinity. Holding yourself accountable when you fuck up. You know? Well, I think that all those things are important. Did I say you? I mean, you said you made mistakes like we all do. But I'm saying when you take ownership of your actions, life gets better. And when you don't, you're a perpetual victim. And I think that Proud Boys can sometimes inadvertently, or maybe by design, create, a cadre of victims. And that's not only boring, that can lead people in a direction that makes violence against other human beings who have nothing to do with them more likely. And that's what I'm against.
Well, you were very specific in the beginning. You said like why Proud Boys and you, and I said this in the beginning of this conversation that a lot of my guys don't like you, and the reason why a lot of my guys don't like you is I think they associate you with Christian Exu, right? And
Christian Exu does not like me either, right?
I bet, but at one point you were retweeting and he was retweeting, and then you had the heat map. So I think in a lot of ways, I understand your plight, but I also understand my guys. Like they don't want to get doxxed, right? When you put up a picture,
I never endorsed doxing, and the majority of hatred that I've gotten from people on the left or in these like terminally online spaces is that I am more on the understanding rapport building side, and I'm not out to ruin anyone's life.
Do you delete your tweets?
Do I delete my tweets?
Yeah.
If I misspell something, maybe.
Okay. So we'll do this again, and like obviously I can't search through them, but I remember some of the guys in the our OSS chat sending.
Why don't you forget about my tweets like your members
I'm not,
forget about slavery, and let's just start anew.
I'm in, but I just wanted to tell you why. Some of my guys probably don't even like that I'm talking to you, right? And I don't give a shit about that. But
I'm not a scary individual.
I like this conversation because we have very differing views, and you do your research on the thing. I disagree with it. I disagree with some of your points because I think you classify everybody as a whole, but regardless,
I do not. So let's make that clear. So what else were you going to say? Yeah, that is not fair that you drink like half a bottle and I have
not even moved the bottle. The bottle's been, you could go back to the recording. The bottle hasn't moved. I get the flavor.
What is it? Is it whiskey?
Yeah.
Oh. Did I ever tell you? I'll tell you my, you know what? I'll save that for another day.
I got like maybe 2 minutes.
I wish I recorded the beginning. Say the thing again. I'll lead into it before we record it. We'll end it like this.
Okay. We'll end it with the beginning.
You did not age well in prison.
Oh, that's bullshit. I just got a couple of gray hairs. I lost net 20 pounds. You know, and I do need to be a little bit more fit, but I am thinner.
And so you think you haven't aged?
Of course not. It's like wine. I've aged like wine.
With or without the cork off?
With the wax seal, with the cork, in a box, vacuum seal.
It was funnier the first time. All right, Tarrio. Well, please don't get anyone killed.
And I try not to foment an insurrection.
Yeah. No political enemies. No targeting of political enemies.
Well, I think they should be investigated.
What does investigated mean? Like, is that like when a Proud Boy said somebody should be persuaded with stabbing? I'm sorry, someone should be persuaded with a knife, and I had to tell them that was stabbing?
I doubt it.
Okay.
We'll talk about that later. But what I want retribution through investigations, and those investigations will find a crime. And I think when they get convicted and I think that they should do some time in jail. Not a long time, but I think they should.
If the government is dismantled, who's going to do the investigations?
The United States Department of the Proud Boys.
Oh, that's fucking terrifying. All right, Tarrio.
Hold on.
I'll talk to you later. I'm going to go polish the grass on the Titanic.
No, I just wanted to say I apologize for butting in at all, and can you please tell the world I didn't do that shirt?
Yeah, he was really pissed.
Is that really Nick Pickles?
No, it's Bobby Pickles. And actually, I'm wearing a shirt that says I am Bobby Pickles today.
Oh, you do have to rebrand because of the whole church and everything.
Huh?
He did not make the shirt.
I did not make.
He did. I just want to make it.
He got,
as soon as the shirt came out that somebody said that it was his shirt, he got really fucking pissed off.
Wait. I made a shirt. Oh, give me 1 second.
I see that you have a t-shirt shop.
I do. I have
my retweet something bad about me, and I'll post like a comment like, "Oh, she's wrong," and I'll share the link, and people.
All right, we'll do it. All right, Tara. Thank you, and that's going to support my Glitterpill community. So thanks for that. All right, take care. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
If you're listening to this and you're part of the Proud Boys, or you've ever been drawn to the movement, I want to talk to you directly. Not shame you, not debate you, not tell you that your lived experiences aren't real. But I want to invite you to a real conversation about what brought you here and where you actually want to go. I know how this works. I know about the appeal of brotherhood. I know about the desire to feel the sense of belonging and purpose and feeling like you're standing up for something. I also know over the years from the people who have reached out to me that for a lot of you, there's a moment. Maybe it's already happened, maybe it's coming, where you start to feel like something isn't adding up. Maybe it's the infighting, contradictions in leadership, or the realization that the brotherhood isn't as loyal as it claims to be. Maybe you're starting to see that you're giving your time, your energy, and even your future to a cause that doesn't actually value you as a person, only about what you can do for it. That moment of doubt, it's not weakness, that's curiosity. And curiosity is the thing that can set you free. And let's talk about masculinity because I know that's a part of this too. If you've been told that being a man means being tough, proving yourself, never backing down, you're like the majority of the Proud Boys who have really deeply internalized, what it's like to be a chest beating man. But real strength isn't about how much you can fight, how much you can take, or how much you can dominate. Real strength is about knowing who you are when no one else is watching. It's about standing firm in your values and not just the group's slogans. It's about building something lasting, something you could be proud of, not just something that lets you feel powerful for a moment. I'll tell you the story of a Proud Boy who described what heartbreak did to him. He told me he put his heart in a box and saved it for another time. Some men, though, hopefully not you, decide to set that box on fire, and with it, their capacity to feel, because feeling really hurts. But here's the truth. Locking away your heart doesn't make the pain go away. Burning it down doesn't make you stronger. What makes you strong is facing what's inside that box, whatever it is for you, and asking yourself if maybe, just maybe, there's something worth saving. That's why I want to invite you to listen to this February episode in the Glitterpill community where we dive into Leslie Jamison's work, Quiet Men. I think this conversation and that selection will resonate with you. Because the hardest thing you'll ever do isn't proving yourself to others. It's choosing not to lose your heart. I want to offer you a different kind of conversation. No judgment, no pressure, just a space to unpack what's really going on and ask yourself if this movement is truly giving you what you need, or if it's just keeping you stuck in an endless fight that never leads anywhere. If you thought something about this doesn't feel right, maybe I want more than this, I want you to reach out. There's a way forward that doesn't involve constantly proving yourself, fighting endless battles, or being told who you should hate. There's a way to build real connection, real meaning, and a life that's actually yours. So if you're questioning, if you're curious, and you want to talk, my doors are open. You don't have to make any decisions today. You just have to take that first step towards asking yourself the right questions. Because no matter what anyone has told you, your future is yours to define. And being a man isn't about who you fight. It's about what you build. And to build something real, you need your heart. You can visit my website, proudboyswhisperer.com, or you can reach out via my email, proudboyswhisperer@protonmail.com. And let's start the conversation.